This podcast is brought to you by the Ginger Camel Network. Visit us at www.gingercamelnetwork.com. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching, whatever time you're listening. Welcome to Your Onion Podcast Show. Today we have a very special guest. It's Aayush Bakshi.
Good morning, guys. How are you doing? Good morning. Thanks for having me, Stephen.
Hey, great to have you on. So with all my guests, I like you to do the introduction. So if I met you in a lift, give me a 15-second elevator pitch.
All right. So I'm your average Middle Eastern student who's just brought up in the Middle East, an average Indian guy who stayed in the Middle East from probably play school all the way up to 12th grade. I was in Oman for a good 9 years, and then I was in Qatar for the rest of my life. I only went to India for my university, came back, had my first job.
Hold on. This is an elevator pitch. I've only got 15 seconds. I don't want to hear your life story in 15 seconds. What do you do? What is it that you do now?
What I do now is I make toys for children.
Okay.
That's how I'd explain it, but we do it with a little bit of a twist. So...
Okay, well, let's look. The elevator's finished now. I'm out the door. So...
I thought you wanted to know my life story more than my business, though.
You've been watching the other podcast. You've been watching the other podcast, so you thought you'd get it over and done with in a few minutes. All right, we'll go back to what you're doing.
Perfect.
In a few minutes, but let's go back in time. So you were brought up here.
Yes.
So why did your mum and dad come over here, and what were they doing?
So my dad came to the Middle East, to Dubai, about 30 years ago, and he got a job. He used to work. He loved his job, and he met my mom through an arranged marriage. Mom came, settled down with him. And
what was he doing?
He used to work in sales back then as well.
Okay.
And entry level. And today, 30 years later, he's the sales and marketing director for Pepsi. Grew the ranks on his own, worked hard. They worked as a couple, pushed each other, and he's been in this post for the last 15 years now.
Superb.
He's been with Pepsi for the last 23, 24 years now.
Wow.
So...
okay, so, and then they had you.
They had me...
and in Doha? Were you born in Doha?
No, I was born in Calcutta in India.
Okay.
But right after I was born, we moved to Oman, and that's where we stayed for 9 years. And then we moved to Doha. I was around 4th grade when we moved to Doha.
So you were 9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finished my education in Doha.
So do you remember Oman?
I do.
Yeah.
I do remember Oman. I remember it very fondly. I have the best of memories there. It's a beautiful country. It's so underrated. The people are wonderful.
That's what I hear. I hear that all the time.
No, it's beautiful. It's got mountains. It's got sceneries. It's a big country. People don't understand how big it is.
All right. So what was it like coming from Oman to Doha at the time? Did you kind of notice at that age, or?
I did. I mean, it was this one country where all my friends was, where I grew up, where my sister was born.
Yeah.
Coming to a whole different country where I don't know anything. I'm going to a new school, new friends, starting afresh. And it took me a while, but within a year, I loved it so much that there was no going back. I was like, oh, this is fantastic.
So you were here, you graduated.
Yeah, so I was year up all the way to 12th grade.
Yeah.
Then I went to India for university.
Yeah, isn't it? That's always the, story. Generally, send back to India. But you haven't had a life in India. So, going to university in India, what was that like?
You're very right. And I had my parents were very favorable with me. They were like, you could go anywhere in the world. You want to go to the US, you want to go to the UK.
Oh, so you had that option?
I had all the options.
But you wanted to go back to the homeland?
Because, we had such a silver spoon life in the Middle East.
That's what I hear as well.
But
you realized that?
I did. And I was like, we're always so, it's all taken care of. It's so safe. There's no competition. There's no one pushing each other. You're always in that silver spoon in terms of life comes to you instead of you going to chase life. And I was like, it's only my undergraduate degree. It's not going to make the biggest difference from where I do my undergraduate degree. It's more about what I learn. And the one biggest skill set I wanted to observe personally was just to go understand competition and be street smart. And I was like, okay, we're going to India. Let's see what happens. It's something which I knew nowhere else in the world would pride me, something trying to be street smart. I wouldn't even know if I could get it in India, but I knew that was my best bet.
Yeah.
So I was like, off we go to India, go to university there, try and absorb and see what people like, what competition's like, what the not so comfortable life is like.
And how was that?
Well, it was wonderful. I won't even lie, I loved it. It was a big reality check.
Yeah, well, that's it. It was a big reality check.
It was a big reality check, but I wouldn't have it any other way. To be fair, I did change universities going to India, so it's that same old Indian story of how you get into engineering and realize you don't want to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And,
well, what did you go and study?
So first I took up engineering for a year.
Oh, you did do.
I did take engineering for a year.
Well, whose choice was that? Was that your parents?
No. So in Indian education system, up until 10th grade, you're studying all together.
Right.
But right after 10th grade, you got to choose. You want to go the science way or the business way. And those are your only two choices.
So you went the science.
I went the science way because I wanted to be a pilot.
Okay.
Funny story, yeah?
That's why we're here. Yeah.
Because since 8th grade, my parents would ask me every year, what do you want to be? I was like, pilot. 9th grade, what do you want to be? Pilot. 10th grade, what do you want to be? Pilot. So okay, if I want to be a pilot, I got to take science.
Okay.
11th grade, they asked me, okay, what do you want to be? We have to start looking for universities and applying. And I'm like, I want to be a pilot. They're like, still, they thought it's just a phase, the thing will run out. And I'm like, yeah. And they had a fair point. They're like, okay, go get a degree first in engineering or something of that sort, or anything you want to, so that if you ever want to back up from flying, you have something to fall back upon, because it's just a license to fly. No offense. But I was like, okay, valid point.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. The other good thing I was good at was coding. I really enjoyed coding. I could do it in the middle of the night. So I was like, software engineering, computer engineering, here I come. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
1 year in, I'm like, I'm going to make a terrible engineer. I'm going to be...
Why? What was it?
It wasn't my thing. I didn't find myself. I was like, I'm not as good at it that I thought I would be. I'm not enjoying it. I can't sit behind the desk and code for a living. I don't see myself doing it. And I was like, guys, I want to switch.
And what did you switch to?
I switched to business. And my parents, they're very supportive. They're like, no questions asked. They said, okay, done. Don't worry.
No, as long as you get the degree, then
yeah, no, of course. And first day of business school, I remember bright as day. First lecture, I was the only science background kid. And the first lecture gets over and I'm like, wow, you're joking. That makes absolute perfect common sense.
Yeah.
And I just had my light bulb eureka moment of like, okay, this is what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
So that leap of faith, that pure luck, pure chance, I somehow found myself. I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And ever since back, I think it's one of the best decisions, the gambles I've ever made. So yeah, I'm very happy about that.
Very good. So what was your first job after that? Did you come back?
I came back. I worked in Doha, worked for Zomato.
Okay.
I was a sales manager here for a year.
Oh, you went into sales?
Yeah. I think I picked up that from my dad. He's a sales guy as well.
Yeah.
And it gives me such a rush. I won't even lie about it.
So you
closing a deal,
enjoy sales?
Yeah, no, closing a 500 real deal or a 35,000 real deal.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It gives you the rush. It could be at 2 in the morning or at 8 in the morning. Doesn't matter. It was beautiful.
Nice.
Give you the rush.
Yeah.
As soon as that handshake happened, okay, let's do it. You were so pumped you could go conquer the world. That's the feeling it gave you. Until today, it could be the smallest deal, but it gives me the same rush that it did on day one.
Nice.
So I do love sales. I really do.
So when was the light bulb moment for you where you are now?
Where I want to start my own company?
Yeah.
So 1 year in, I did very well for myself. I was very happy as to what I contributed. Zomato was very happy. And then I was like, what do I have to lose? I spoke to my dad. He's like, why don't you just give yourself a year? What's the downside to it? You're in your early 20s. You can afford to take this risk. It still counts as experience. And if it fails, it fails. You learn.
Yeah, but what was the risk? What were you putting on the table?
What I was putting on the table was a better job offer from a better company for twice the salary and the senior most management level I could get. So no one at my age gets that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was always a guy who wanted to join a stable company, join the ranks, grow my way to the top. So me making myself to terms with that decision was also a battle, but I was just like, what's the worst that could happen?
Okay.
And I'm just like, let's just go for it. And there are many other things that came into play. I was like, okay, we're not a business family, we're a service family, but I essentially see myself a few years down the line in terms of having multiple income streams. I want to do that. how can I do that? I can't really do that in service. So I was like, okay, let's kickstart. Let's see how it goes. If nothing else, I'll go take this experience, go study more after, go do an MBA, and then take up a job after MBA as well.
Yeah, but hold on. You were offered a job,
I was offered a job,
which was double the salary.
which was double the salary.
But where's the light bulb moment with the idea?
With the idea,
Here, I'm confused now. Okay, what was it offered, and did you take that offer?
I initially took the offer, signed it, and then 2 days later, like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What you had on the table. So you had this offer, but you also had your light bulb entrepreneurship.
It wasn't so much of a light bulb as to more of an itch. I was like,
Well, tell us
maybe.
about that itch. That's what we're on about. That's why we're here.
So I was watching Shark Tank. That's what happened.
Okay.
And I was like, these are beautiful genius guys living everyday normal lives, whipping out the craziest of ideas. And you see them 1-2 years later.
Well, no, sometimes you're watching poor guys being ripped to shreds.
True, yeah, both sides of the story.
Not,
of course.
yeah.
It's, you have to, it's a leveled bridge at the end of the day. But I was just like,
That's where I want to be.
that's who I want to be. I want to take that risk. I want to do something that belongs to me. I want
Okay.
something that belongs 100% to me, where all my efforts are towards myself.
So where did the idea come from? Did you see
No,
it?
the
Have you
idea did
seen
not
it?
even come to me until 2 months later. I had to brainstorm. All it came to me is, okay, Ayush, you're going to start your own company. You're going to do something for yourself. I didn't even know what I wanted to do till 2 months in.
No, it took me 40 years before I knew what I wanted to do.
All I did was every day spend hours trying to come up with ideas. 2 months in, came up with 10 ideas that I liked, fascinated. And the only way I narrowed it down, God's honest truth, is which is the least capital intensive. What's the least capital intensive business that makes the most sense for this market?
Okay.
And that's how Plushie was born. That's exactly how
Boom,
Plushie was
boom. We're here. Plushie is born. Okay. Tell us what Plushie is all about. When you had that light bulb moment and not the light bulb moment, but you had the 10 ideas and then you basically wattled it down to, this idea.
So, growing up in the Middle East gave me a real essence of how we liked creativity and art. And, it probably wouldn't be just creativity, at least restriction-free creativity, where people really challenged you. People really wanted you to embrace your creative side, your vision, give that back to you. And I was like, I want to do something in that space. So when I saw Plushie, I was like, this makes perfect sense,
Where did the idea come from before you carry on?
I was watching Shark Tank.
Huh?
I was watching Shark Tank, and there was a speech about, hey, we make toys come to life. I was like, that's a beautiful idea. Let's do it in the Middle East. Let's bring it here.
Yeah.
So I never take full ownership for the idea. It's not mine. I'm just trying to bring it to the Middle
So
East.
you saw it on Shark
I
Tank.
did see it on Shark
And then
Tank.
you brought it over here. Did you
Yeah.
get in contact with the original?
No, I tried to send them a bunch of emails. And
Nothing?
Nothing, no.
Okay,
I
so
don't
you
like-
thought, okay, well,
yeah,
no
let's do it
answer.
on our own.
Let's do it on our own.
And,
Did they get investment?
Sorry?
Did they get an
No,
investment?
they never closed the deal.
Really?
No. They didn't have enough.
Hold on. They're in front of Shark Tank. They're looking for investment. And then you go, actually, that's a good idea. I'll start it over here. Wasn't there something in the back of your head going, well, they haven't got investment in America, so why is it going to work in
I remember
the Middle East?
the biggest problem they had for asking for investment was they said their margins weren't high enough. And I was like, maybe I can find a better way to do it. And that's where the Indian in me strikes.
Thinking of home, absolutely, yeah.
Went back to India, spent 5 months training my guys, finding the right team, finding the right place.
Before you carry on, I cut you up, but you were explaining what Plushie is all about.
So what we do at Plushie is, in a very layman's terms, we make drawings into toys. So a child on a blank piece of paper could draw anything they want.
See, that's scary because I've seen my kids' drawings and I don't want them being created into toys.
But that's the beauty of it. I would want anyone to whip up anything. Do you want a giraffe with horse legs and elephant face? Do it. No one's
that's generally
stopping
what
you.
my kids,
No one's stopping you. It's restriction free. Embrace your creativity. Embrace your vision. I want to boost your morale. I want your parents to be happy as to, look, Dad, that's what I drew and that's my toy. And I want, it's just such a beautiful feeling delivering those toys where they're like, no way. And it's beautiful. And I want it to be done in the very way we taught on day zero. There is going to be no restriction for any child to draw what they want. Anything they want to whip up, we're going to make it.
And you've tried
toy.
this.
We have tried this.
You've tried this.
We've had our fair share of troubles. We've taken longer for some others, but we always come through.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's what we do. We make toys for children from the drawings.
I think that's a superb idea. And, I commend you for, going down that road.
Thank you so much.
The warning signs were there with
Oh,
margins.
I had all the red flags.
Yeah. So what have been the learning points as you've been setting this up?
Oh, there's so many. You yourself have been on the entrepreneurial journey so long, and you know that we all go through fair shares of doors closing on our faces and like us falling down and us. There's so many days, and you've had this as well, I'm sure. You're contemplating, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I have a job offer. I can get that fixed amount of money every month. I was good at my job. What am I doing? I'm paying people from my own pocket and making no money. What am I doing?
Yeah, but you're living the dream. You run your own business, but you're paying everyone else.
But I was like, no, man, patience. Just play the long game. Be patient. Give it a year. Be reasonable. Give it a year. Give it 2 years. Play the long game. It'll pan out. And it is panning out. We are expanding overseas. We have found partners all over the world.
Okay. You say you were expanding. So did you reach a point where, cash flow and everything was working and, or...
No.
But you were expanding. No, but I'm curious. All right, before you answer that question, how did you find the right people back in India to create these, and I want to, now I want to show you people at home a drawing, and it's a parrot, yeah?
Yeah,
this is a parrot. So, you'll just see something pop up here. There's nothing here at the moment, but my editor will pop something up here, and it is a parrot. And now I'll show you what it looks like at the end. And it's quite big. It's not small. It's amazing. So how do you find the right people to actually, make these? Because that must have been a process as well.
It was.
Did you advertise or did you know?
No, it was just through word of mouth, trying to make all the calls in India, trying to understand people from the industry, going to toy conventions.
And did they look at you a bit wearily to start off with, or,
So essentially what I wanted to do was outsource it. Find a toy company in India who makes toys and be like, look, I'll send you designs, just make them. And everyone said, no, we can't do single design, single orders and whatnot. And I'm like, fair enough, I'm going to do it in-house.
Yeah, because I presume the money is in bulk.
Of course. Yeah. So I'll do it in-house. Okay, I'm more of a solution-oriented guy than a problem-oriented. You could talk about problems, but I'm like, let's find a solution
instead.
The problem?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so we found a solution. We was like, let's do it in-house. And we found a team. And we went to all the toy workshops in Delhi, tried to train ourselves. I went to a few personally myself to understand how it's done. And we spent 4 to 5 months just training, perfecting.
But this is your money. This is your money that you're investing during this time.
100%.
You're paying these people to train.
We're paying. Everyone was patient. They knew they weren't making the big bucks. They were just making.
But they were willing.
They were willing to be with me.
Because that's another thing with being an entrepreneur is that you have to convince other people to, follow you and follow your dream. And so you must, you said with the whole sales thing, you must have given them a good sales pitch to come on board.
I did. I won't even lie. I'll shamelessly admit I did. But they saw the vision. They saw, okay, here's something. And I broke it down to them. I was like, look, we are going to be very small to begin with. We're not even going to cover up our costs in the first 1 year.
Yeah.
But this is where I see it going. And if you're going to be patient with me, you're going to grow with the company. I till today even speak to them. I'm like, the one thing I want to make sure is you always get paid on time. But I want you to be patient with me in terms of your raises and promotions, knowing that our company still doesn't make money. And they're so patient with me. And they're a team. Now we're a unit.
And you're quite upfront with them. You're quite transparent. And
100%. Everyone knows what's going on in the company. Everyone knows where we stand.
I think that helps. I think that is important when you're an entrepreneur and you start a company, is that you are upfront. You're transparent with everything, because then they appreciate that they are part of something that is growing.
100%. I believe in empowering every step of the way.
Yeah.
It could be the guy who's just buying the threads for us.
Yeah.
But you keep him equally important and involved, and he understands how he's contributing to the business because it's such a small, tightly run
Absolutely.
unit.
I always say, everyone's like a cog in a wheel, and if one of them isn't working,
We'll
then it
fall
affects
apart.
the whole.
We will fall apart without one of those guys. Or one of those guys wants to quit tomorrow. We will fall apart.
Absolutely.
But that's the trust and unity we have as a family now. It is a family. It's a very
Absolutely.
tightly run ship, and at the same time, I can't micromanage. That's the best part. I can't.
No, I'm the same.
I can't micromanage,
No.
and that makes them feel better because from the backgrounds they come, they've always had someone standing on top of their heads and be like, "No, don't do this like
Yeah,
this." And
yeah.
so I'm like,
So you're giving them the freedom, you're giving them the creativity.
yeah, I'm like, this is what I want to get
Yeah.
done, and I know you can do it. Do it your way. It's
Yeah.
fine. You might take 2 lefts and a right. I might take 2 rights and a left, but we'll get to the same point. As long
Absolutely.
as you're doing it, I don't mind.
No,
You
that's
do it
good.
your
That's
way.
very commendable. What about sourcing material? Is it, I know India is, you walk into any fabric shop, an Indian fabric shop, and it's just like you're amazed by, the selection. Is that the same for you guys? That, and how do you choose? Okay, look, someone draws a picture of a parrot,
Yeah.
but then it's your team to actually decide what material would suit.
So the materials place is common across all toys. It's plush based.
Okay.
But yes, how the embroidery should
When
be
you say
done.
plush, is that why you call
Called
it plushy?
yeah. So it's
So
plush.
what is plush? Is that the kind of this soft?
Exactly. So all soft toys, you feel the plush-based material. But you're very right about the fabric. I remember the first time I entered the fabric store, I walked in and I walked out so quickly because I was like, I'm so out of place. I don't know what I'm doing here. Called one of my aunts who's been in the business. I'm like, you need to come with me. You need to tell me, break it down for me. And then it was all a process, you
Oh,
you understand, you
yeah.
learn. And then I was like, okay, no, but this is not good enough. And this
Yeah.
is not good enough.
Yeah.
And because, it's children's toys. They're gonna
Well, this is it.
sleep
It
with
has to be robust, and it has to be like literally, because they're going to pull it apart.
They're gonna fight with it,
throw it,
play
fight,
with it, sleep
absolutely.
with it. So,
Well, I've got 4 kids, so I know what I'm talking about.
so I was like, okay, no, it has to be the best material we
Yeah.
have, and it has to be plastic free. Those are my only 2 rules.
Yeah.
So we don't use any plastic in any of the toys, so that children from all age groups can use it. I
Nice.
don't want the 2-year-old not to have a toy
No,
just
because
because.
some 2-year-old's going to be chewing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're like, no plastic and the best material there is.
Nice.
But then we realized, we were like, oh yeah, we're ready to launch. 3 months in, we got so far. And then we're like, but it's children's toys. It's going to get dirty so quickly.
Yeah.
So now we need to make them washing machine friendly somehow. So we spent 2 months trying to make the washing
Oh,
machine
no.
friendly. So it was a whole process. We went through the whole shebang, and
Yeah, but what a learning curve as well for you.
it was.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I wouldn't have it any other way because now we know, okay, we learn every day as entrepreneurs. That's what they say, when you start your own company or you join a company that's just started, your work experience is like dog years. You're doing 7 years worth of work in that 1 year.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're doing everything. You're doing the marketing, you're doing the logistics, you're doing
Yeah.
the operation, you're doing the finance, but you wouldn't have it any other way because it's your baby.
Yeah. So how can people find you? Is there a website?
So yeah, there's a website.
Okay.
It's called makemyplushie.com.
MakeMyPlushie.com. Okay.
And all you do is upload a drawing.
And in any format?
As long as it's a text, as long as it's an image, you
Yeah.
upload it, and
And then how long does it take for, from me uploading to and paying to then receiving? What's your
so
turnaround?
we do door deliveries in about 4 to 5 weeks.
4 to
It'll
5
arrive
weeks.
at your door in 4 to 5 weeks
Okay.
from the day you've uploaded it as a drawing.
Right.
And
Nice.
it's a very customized product. We like
Yeah.
to take our
No,
time.
absolutely.
We don't want to rush through. We break down every element. We have a team of artists and tailors and toy makers who break down.
But for someone that's uploading their image, that's the last contact that they have until they actually receive it?
No, there is, you get to, so there are different features you can opt for. So there's a feature that says you want a sneak peek. You pay a little bit more and you can see in terms of, are you happy with the toy being made this way? We'll send you a photo from our workshop.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh yeah, that's perfect. Or can you change that for me to that color instead? And we'll accommodate that as well.
You accommodate it because they paid that little bit extra?
Yeah.
Okay.
But otherwise, if you're a normal paying customer, you can get to see what step of the way on the progress bar.
Oh,
is your
okay,
plush
there's a
at.
progress bar.
Yeah, so
Oh, very nice.
it's, we're choosing out the fabric, we're cutting your piece together, we're sewing it together, we're stuffing it up,
Yeah.
and it's on your way to you.
So, are you just looking after the Middle East market, or are you looking for world domination?
I would be very honest with you. When I started the company, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, Qatar is a good market, and it was more like a very horse and stick approach in terms of, all right, horse and carrot, where I was just so in terms of Qatar is the only market,
Yeah, because
or Middle East.
Yeah.
As far as I thought, it was Middle East more than Qatar.
yeah,
But then I realized, why not? So now we have partners in Singapore, Australia, Philippines, Southeast Asia as a whole. So we're expanding there. We're expanding to Oman, and the idea is by next year to have Plushie's partners in about 30 odd countries.
Nice.
So we're doing the work for that to scale and partner up. So world domination is the way to go.
And do you think you'll ever be in touch with these guys once you have world domination? Or will they be in contact with you?
The guys I first tried to get in touch with
Yes.
on Shark Tank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Funny enough, I hope they get in touch with us. Just
Yeah.
because, we did try to get in touch with them. We did try to, but I just feel like I hope we get big enough where they recognize and they reach out to us instead. So
No, I
that's
think it's a
the
great
goal.
story.
So yeah,
Well, we've run out of time, Aayush. So thank you for coming on the show.
it's my pleasure. Absolutely.
And, we could have talked for another hour about this. But I wish you all the best. But please come on the show again
For sure. It'll be
in a
pleasure.
year's time. And then you can tell us.
I'll
how
tell you
the
about my
world
next project in a year's time.
Absolutely. I can see that. I can see that. All right. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. And please check us out on all our social media handles, which you will see underneath. And take care. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. This podcast has been brought to you by the Ginger Camel Network. Visit us at www.gingercamelnetwork.com.